Hello and welcome to the Fifth Down Huddle. I'll save the self-promoting to the end and say, let's huddle up right away. So right away, I'm just going to be straight up with it. Coronavirus, that is going to be a talking point on this episode. I know it's a football podcast, but I think with how prevalent it is, I really just don't think there's any way I can avoid it. I don't really want to. I want to give my quick opinion on it. So just looking at some basic facts, I mean, across the country, schools are closing, restaurants are being forced to shut down, movie theaters, nightclubs are shutting down, public facilities are shutting down, basically everything except for the grocery stores are closing down. And, honestly, I'm not against it. A lot of people are saying, we're overreacting. The economy's going to be screwed after this. And what for? A flu? And it makes sense, right? The economy is going to be very, very bad off. If I had to predict, I'd say it's going to be near Great Depression level of bad for at least a couple years here. And it's just, the biggest reason for that is simply that right now, as everything closes down, nobody's going to have money. Once this all starts coming, all these small businesses, they're going to close down. They don't have enough money to keep those businesses up, to even rent out the place if they aren't getting any income. That's the thing. But yeah, it's crazy. Coronavirus as a whole is honestly crazy to me. I mean, 2 months ago, you heard about it in the news, but you didn't think it'd ever get this bad. There's over 190,000 confirmed cases worldwide. Over 5,000 deaths, over 5,000 U.S. cases, over 90 U.S. deaths. I mean, and for people who say, it's not super lethal, why are we freaking out about it? Well, it's lethal to those with health problems, respiratory mainly, and those above 50 or 60. So to your grandparents, yes, it's lethal. So don't take it as a joke. But not only that, but there's also the threat, which I want to bring up here real quick, the threat of a mutation. That's something big. A mutation is in a virus is basically when every time an organism mutates or every time an organism or a virus multiplies, and it multiplies by going from host to host. It can't multiply without a place to multiply. So when it goes to that host, it multiplies so that it can kind of take over the host and then move on to another one. That's how a virus spreads. So every time it multiplies, it has, say, a 1 in, I'm sure it's a bigger number than this, but say it has a 1 in a trillion chance of mutating. I actually think the chance of a mutation is lower than that. But the chance of a mutation that makes it more lethal to humans, beyond just that age and health group, let's say it's 1 in a trillion. Now, it doesn't seem like a big problem, but when you don't care about it and you let it keep multiplying, those millions and millions of times that it's multiplying through all these people constantly, that exponentially just increases the chance that it mutates. And mutation isn't the biggest scare. It's really just, there's deaths already. That's a big scare. But the biggest for me is the chance that it mutates to become something we can't defend, something we can't take for granted, something that becomes lethal to those my age, middle-aged people, millennials, Gen Z, whatever. And everybody's staying in their homes. It's really surreal. It's hard to really kind of sit down and grasp, like, this is happening. You see it on your phone, you see it on TV, but it doesn't really sink in right away, where you say, I am living in a moment in history that will be looked back on the same way H1Z1 influenza or Spanish flu does. This will be covered in your kids' history classes. This is a big moment in history that we're about to go through. I think a lot of people aren't exactly grasping that. And with the decision to close schools, a lot of people were arguing about that, saying, well, it doesn't really help that much where we've closed schools. Well, the thing with that is that it's not the matter that it doesn't help a ton. It's the matter that it helps, period. Anything that helps, they're going to do anything possible that helps, even if it's not completely proven. And yeah, it's big. But after that, that's my quick opinion on it. I think we should be overreacting rather than underreacting. And trust me, it's only going to get worse from here. So moving on to a different topic here, I want to talk about, it's been a crazy, crazy week in NFL free agency. A lot of stuff is happening here. That's why I wanted to wait to make the episode until Tuesday. So that way, because Wednesday free agency opens. Or wait, I think it was, free agency opens Wednesday. So Wednesday comes, all these players are going to be going to those teams. I mean, right now they're finalizing deals because they can talk to each other, but tomorrow it's official. And that's when we see some of the bigger players like Brady move on. So yeah, that's why I wanted to wait till Tuesday so I could talk about some of the big discussions, headlines, and rumors that are going on today. Just an hour ago, you had the Brady news, and I will of course bring that up. But for now, let's just go through some of these headlines. Eric Flowers, offensive guard, went to the Dolphins. He's a former Redskins player. It was a 3-year, $30 million deal. I like that. The Dolphins are a building team. You know, they're only getting better, and they're getting better fast. They have the coaching staff to do it. Brian Flores has proved to be a good head coach last year. I mean, they didn't win a ton of games, but they proved that he can win against good teams. And yeah, just O-line, you want to start there. You know, if you try to go for a quarterback for the O-line, well, rookie quarterback's not going to succeed very well if he only has 2 seconds to throw. So looking at the next one, the David Johnson trade. Man, that was crazy. So David Johnson and I believe a second-round pick were traded to the Texans for DeAndre Hopkins and a 6th or 7th-round pick. Now, I was deeply surprised by this. I mean, you got a top receiver in the league, and you give him away like that. And if they signed Randall Cobb, which I think is kind of a way to keep their receiving core at least average, because now they have Randall Cobb and Kenny Stills, but still, I mean, it's nowhere near what it was with DeAndre Hopkins. So, do I agree with it? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I'm not a Texan. And a big thing with a lot of these trades that I think we forget to look at is what's going on inside. You know, we haven't really heard from DeAndre Hopkins yet. What happened in there that made them consider trading him? Was it a drug test? Well, I'm sure that would have been out by now, but was it something? Did something happen in there that made them say, yeah, maybe we don't want DeAndre Hopkins anymore? Maybe we don't. Because you got the young quarterback. I mean, you're making the playoffs. Why give away one of your best players? I mean, you finished your rebuild, right? You got a team for the future. Honestly, I personally think it's a bad move unless something comes out soon where it says, yeah, that's why they got rid of him. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But because a team like the Cardinals would jump on that no matter the risk. But it's kind of like the Josh Gordon with the Patriots this year. Patriots released Josh Gordon off of IR. A lot of people were like, why? You know, your receiving core is already so bad. 2 weeks later, he tests positive in a drug test. So, you know, it's kind of that trade-off of like, well, jeepers, that kind of makes a bit more sense. So here we go now. Now, the 49ers gave a defensive lineman, Eric Armstead, a 5-year deal. I love that. The biggest attribute to the 49ers right now is their defensive line. Defense as a whole, really, but their defensive line. And Eric Armstead's a big piece of that. So to give him a long-term deal really is going to help solidify this team's chance of building a dynasty, building a couple Super Bowls there. But yeah, moving on to the next decision. Hayden Hurst was traded to the Falcons for a second-round pick. I don't think Hayden Hurst, I personally don't see him as a big-time tight end. He's great at blocking, but I don't see him as a great pass catcher. And maybe that's not what the Falcons are looking for. But I do like the pick value. I think Hayden Hurst is worth a second-round pick. I just like that trade. The Falcons need a good tight end, blocking tight end. They don't really have one right now. So it's good to see that the Falcons got a good value. You know, it was a second-round pick. You didn't trade a first-round for a guy that's not worth a first-rounder. I like the trade overall. I think that was a solid one. Not a ton of controversy there. So, and then another one here. The Dolphins are signing first-round pass rusher Shaq Lawson. I like this one. I do like it. Again, the Dolphins are only getting better. And to sign a good pass rusher, which I like these two first Dolphins headlines, they're focusing on those lines, offensive and defensive. You got to love it. Offensive line is important for the rookie quarterback, and defensive line really makes it easier to not have to worry too much about the rest of your team. And if you make a team one-dimensional, it becomes a lot easier to play against them. So if you can shut down that run game with big-time pass rushers and run-stopping the tackles, which they also need to get, you're talking, it becomes a lot easier to play defensively. So another one here, Stefon Diggs. That was a big surprise for me. Stefon Diggs went to the Buffalo Bills. Now, a big thing to look at that is the AFC East is going to be a really interesting division next year. Again, I'll get to the Brady news next, but Brady is gone. The Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills are stacking up on talent. The Jets seem near the next step of becoming an at least even team. So the AFC East is going to be a pretty interesting division next year as to see who's going to make it all the way. Not all the way to the Super Bowl, but ultimately just to win the division, because pretty much it's kind of even right now in terms of probability. I mean, I still give the Patriots the upper hand just because they've been doing it for so long. But with Brady gone, who knows what that might mean. So yeah, Stefon Diggs went to the Bills. I like that trade for the Bills. I don't love it for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, he isn't an amazing quarterback, and taking away one of his number one pass catchers is not going to help that. Kirk Cousins is a franchise guy, but he's not elite. So next up in the news, D-lineman DeForest Buckner is headed to the Colts in exchange for a first-round pick. I love this trade. Love it. The Colts have a young, strong defense, and they got another big-time superstar player, DeForest Buckner, to add to the D-line. That defense is going to be really good next year. I guarantee it. You watch the Colts, they are going to be one of the better defenses in the league next year. Take it from me, I guarantee it. Offensive tackle Jack Conklin is headed to Cleveland on a 3-year, $42 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. I like this trade. It's a lot of money, but I think it's going to be worth it because the Browns need an O-line. They have an okay O-line, but it's not great. I love the fact that they're building up on the offensive line. That shows that they say, hey, look, Baker, we'll give you a little bit of help here. We'll give you a little bit of help. And I think they're kind of trying to give Baker everything they can to see him succeed. And I think that they're going to stack up offensive line. And I think that if they don't see success in Baker, it's gonna start getting scary in terms of Cleveland fans saying, yeah, is Baker really the guy for us? And I think that'll be an interesting storyline to watch this coming season. Case Keenum also went to the Browns. That was an interesting signing. Really, really interesting. At first, I was confused. I was like, oh, you got Baker Mayfield. You got a decent team there. Why sign Case Keenum? It just takes up cap space. Well, it's interesting because I think what they're doing is they're trying to give Baker Mayfield a solid backup. Case Keenum can be a solid backup. But along with that, I think they're trying to give Baker Mayfield competition. Again, it's that idea of, look, we need to see you start succeeding. You have weapons. You have an offense. Now make something happen with it. I think that this is really going to be the big tell-all season for Baker Mayfield. And expect that if Case Keenum starts showing up better than Baker Mayfield preseason training camp, we could very well see Case Keenum thrown onto that field. So next up here in the news, the Broncos are signing offensive lineman Graham Glasgow to a 4-year, $44 million deal. I like this. You got the young buck, Drew Lock. You're just getting in there, just getting settled. You're starting to build this team from the ground up. Again, work on that O-line. Work on that D-line. The defense in Denver is pretty solid. Not great, but pretty solid. They've lost a lot over the years, but they're still solid. And the offense could definitely use some work, and starting with that offensive line will help. Phillip Lindsay's a young, great quarterback, or great running back. He has star potential, and I think getting him a nice O-lineman will definitely help with that. So moving on to the next signing. The Giants are signing former Panthers cornerback James Bradbury to a 3-year, $45 million deal. I like this signing. Mike Thomas, Julio, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin are all in the NFC South with the Giants. So that's going to be an interesting thing, because the Giants are obviously trying to build up their defense. But I want to see, James Bradbury is going to have some tough matchups this next year. He's a solid cornerback, but we're going to see if he can really become great, because he's going to have some solid challenges. Like I just said, Julio, Godwin, Mike Thomas, Mike Evans. He's going to have some tough guys to cover, and I'm excited to see if he can actually keep up with it. The Dolphins are also signing Byron Jones. Byron Jones is a decent cornerback. He's not great, but he's good. He's a good cornerback, solid starter. I think that's great for Miami. Keep adding solid starters to your team, and I guarantee Miami could have a winning season next year. The biggest spot for them right now is just the quarterback position. The Baltimore Ravens are signing defensive line Michael Brokers. They're going to have a great defensive line overall. They just are. I mean, this signing just adds to it. But, man, it's a good D lineman. He's nothing insane, but they have now Brock and Calais Campbell. That's going to be something scary. Yeah, Calais Campbell and now Michael Brockers. It's going to, I can't guarantee anything, but if I had to bet money on it, Ravens defense is going to be just as scary as the Ravens offense next year. The Ravens have a very, very good shot at heading to the Super Bowl next year. I would definitely watch out for them. The Bears are signing former tight end of the Packers, Jimmy Graham. I like this deal, but I was actually expecting Jimmy Graham to go to the Patriots, because the Patriots do need a tight end. But, he went to the Bears. The Bears are also in need of a tight end. They're in super high need, but another pass catcher to try and help out your quarterback. Oh, man, he's having trouble in Chicago. He's having trouble. But I think that, again, it's another one of those situations similar to Baker Mayfield. It's kind of tell-all, be-all, where they're going to get him what they can and say, look, you got to succeed. It's all or nothing now, or else we're going to have to start thinking about moving on, because we're going to give you the weapons. Now show us that you can use them well. I think that's going to be another tell-all, be-all situation. The Dolphins signed another defensive man, Kyle Van Noy. He is a great linebacker. I watched every single game the Patriots had this season. He's a great linebacker. He's a playmaker. He wasn't very well known before this year, but he showed up big this year, and I can't wait to see him in a different uniform. I love to see him stay on the Patriots, because it seems he works well in that system. But I think that with Mike Flores, the defensive coordinator from last year on the Patriots, the year before last year on the Patriots, moving to the Dolphins, I think that it will definitely help him to do well, because I think Brian Flores is going to try to implement at least a similar system in Miami. Moving on here, the Raiders are looking to close out a deal with Marcus Mariota. Now, that was interesting to me, because I had the Raiders up there as a big possibility for Tom Brady, but right now I'm sitting at Buccaneers for Tom Brady. I'm going all in with the Buccaneers. But the site that they're signing Marcus Mariota, or at least are trying to, really interests me, because it shows, well, maybe Brady isn't their top choice. Maybe they want a younger guy like Mariota to see if they can capitalize on that talent and maybe turn Mariota into a franchise guy. It's a stretch, but it's very, very possible. Very, very possible. Another one, Jamie Collins went to the Lions. That was interesting to me. Jamie Collins, another big-time linebacker for the Patriots. So the Patriots lost two big linebackers, Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins, in the same day. So a big position need right now for the Patriots is going to be that linebacker position. I'm interested to see what happens there, who the Patriots look to sign in terms of the linebacker position. The Dallas Cowboys re-signed Amari Cooper to a 5-year, $100 million, $60 million guaranteed deal. It's a big, big deal, but I think he's worth it. He's a great receiver, and I think that Dak Prescott is going to continue to find franchise quarterback caliber success with a receiver like Amari Cooper. The New York Giants signed linebacker Blake Martinez. He's a very well-known guy, and I can't say I know much about him. But, again, I do like the idea that with the cornerback, with the linebacker, the Giants are signing good defensive talent. You're starting off with Danny Dimes. A great way to help out a rookie quarterback is to get him a good defense. He's going to throw some interceptions. You got to be able to give him some chances to learn from his mistakes and not, have the other team score every time he turns over the ball. Another signing here, the Redskins are signing Kendall Fuller to a 4-year, $40 million deal. I like that. I like that a lot. The Redskins need a lot of help all around. They're not a good organization. They're just not. You see a lot of good players go there and fail. They need to sign a lot of good players, and they need to know how to use those good players because they've had talent before, but they haven't capitalized on it. So I'd like to see Kendall Fuller do good, and I'd like to see him be a leader in that defense to help the Redskins get past that level of 8-8. The Buffalo Bills are signing pass rusher Mario Addison to a 3-year deal. Again, the Bills adding talent. The Dolphins adding talent, trying to make a run for that AFC East title now that Brady's gone. And this was all before Brady even left. So it's very, very, very telling to see that these teams in the AFC East are going to make a run for it. They're going all in. They're saying, you know what? This year is our year. I already talked about the Texans signing Randall Cobb, so let's move on from that one. Now to the biggest news of the day in my eyes. Tom Brady announced on Instagram that his football journey will take place elsewhere. That was big. That was a big. I woke up today, looked at my phone, and it said Tom Brady was gone. Really, really big teller for me. Honestly, I gotta say, as much as I love Brady in a Patriots uniform, it's his decision. He's been there for 20 years. We can't fight him on that. Robert Kraft said it himself. I'll read the statement here for you guys of what Robert Kraft said. If I can pull it up here on the Patriots official Instagram page. He said, "How do I possibly sum up the depth of my gratitude to Tom Brady for what he's been giving us these past 20 years, or the sadness I feel knowing it's ending? I love Tom like a son, and I always will. He has brought so much happiness to me personally and to all of our fans. I had hoped this day would never come, but rather than that Tom would end his remarkable career in a Patriots uniform after yet another Super Bowl championship. Unfortunately, the two sides were unable to reach an agreement to allow that dream to become a reality. And while sad today, the overwhelming feeling I have is appreciation for his countless contributions to our team and community." And he also said to ESPN that Brady reached out to him yesterday, and Kraft honestly thought they were going to come to a deal that night, but Brady said to him, this isn't the place for me, and I'm ready to move on. And Kraft kind of said, I had to respect that. He's given us all this over the course of 20 years. I gotta let him do this. Got to give him that much. And it's sad. You grow up watching this quarterback win Super Bowls and find the success. He's a role model to me, at least. How hard he works, even with all the success. He just doesn't settle. And to see him move on from this team, it's remarkably just surprising, surreal. It's hard to grasp, but it's happening. And honestly, I think it's best for him. I think it's best for the Patriots. They can start to build up for the future. And yeah, I think the Patriots are still going to be a playoff team next year. I don't know if they'll make a run for the Super Bowl, but I do believe they will be at least a wild card team next year. They have too much talent on that roster, along with Bill Belichick, to not make the playoffs next year. And Brady, I honestly hope he goes to the Buccaneers. If I had to bet on it, he's going to the Buccaneers, because if all the reports are true about them offering him all this money, all this control, I think he's going to want to go to the Buccaneers. And a lot of people are saying, well, the climate isn't the same. It's not the same system. Well, here's the thing about that system, is that in Tampa Bay, they have talent. They have great offensive talent. And if Brady goes there, these players can say, holy, we have Tom Brady now. Tom Brady ain't going to go throw 30 picks this year. We have a shot. And when Tom Brady goes up to them and says, watch this, this, and this, and tell me what you see on film tonight, come back to practice tomorrow, I guarantee you these star players are going to listen to the greatest quarterback of all time. Tell them, hey, do you want to be better? You want to win games? Do this. They're tired of losing. They know they have the talent, but the quarterback just isn't there. If Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, I'm telling you, that is going to be a scary offense. Scary, scary offense. But yeah, overall, it's sad to see. It really is, to see a quarterback who's been on a team for so long move on and go somewhere else. But it's best for both worlds. It just is. I don't think the Patriots were set to give him a whole ton of offensive talent. I think Belichick still wants to focus on that defense. But again, it is what it is. It is what it is. Brady's going somewhere else. We got to accept that. We got to start preparing for the future. I've been a Tom Brady fan all my life, and I will continue to root for him wherever he goes. So yeah, just a thank you to him for all he's done for the Patriots organization and honestly for us as football fans. So moving on here to the next bunch of news here. Teddy Bridgewater's headed to the Panthers. That's interesting because that means Cam Newton's gone. Also, Cam Newton is they gave him the opportunity to trade. He even commented on the post. He said, "Look, I didn't want this to happen, but they made me facilitate a trade, so that's what's happening." Which basically means Cam Newton didn't want to leave, but the Panthers are ready to move on, and they wanted Teddy Bridgewater over Cam Newton. That's really telling about how good they believe Teddy Bridgewater is. And honestly, I think the best fit for Cam Newton is New England. To work under a coach like Bill Belichick, I think that would really maximize his potential. His overall skill could be maximized by Bill Belichick. I think it's just been a crazy day. It's kind of hard for my brain to wrap around all these topics at once, and it will continue to be crazy tonight and into tomorrow. But I think the Panthers are well off with Teddy Bridgewater. He's a good quarterback. And again, there's a problem of is he actually good, or were the Saints just really good? There's always that question. And it's a fair question because the Panthers don't have the same offensive talent that the Saints do. So will he succeed the same way he did on the Saints with the Panthers? I don't think so. I don't think he'll succeed the same, but I think he will succeed on the Panthers team. I think they will set him up well to succeed as well. So here, looking at just the last few signings that have happened here. Teddy Bridgewater went there. The Raiders have signed inside linebacker Corey Littleton. I think it was a good move by the Raiders overall. They needed a linebacker. They don't have a great linebacking core at all. I think it's one of the best moves of the day, honestly. Defense is stacking up little by little for the Raiders. I think it's a bit high on the money for Corey Littleton that the Raiders paid. But, they got a good linebacker, and you got to love that for the Raiders. And another player that came out with some interesting news today is that the Steelers have placed linebacker Ryan Shazier on the reserve/retired list. What this means is he will still be paid by the team, but won't count as a roster spot, which means that he most likely will not play this season. And moving on here to the final piece of news, the Bears are signing former Cowboys defensive end Robert Quinn to a 5-year, $70 million deal that includes $30 million fully guaranteed. Robert Quinn, he's a great defensive end. And again, the Bears, they have a great defense. Keep it good. Keep building that defense. Make it even better if you can. But they also need to put a little more focus on that offense because I think the thing holding the Bears back right now is not their defense. Not their head coach, but their offense. So yeah, thank you guys. It's been a jam-packed episode. I tried to fit a lot of news into 30 minutes. Tell me if you want another episode on some of these topics. I could talk a lot longer about Brady. I could talk a lot longer about everything here. But thank you so much for tuning in. There will definitely be another episode this weekend, maybe even two, because I guarantee you there's going to be a lot more news before this is over. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the Instagram page at the Fifth Down Huddle, or at Fifth Down Huddle. Subscribe, download the podcast, check it out on Spotify. Go to YouTube, follow the YouTube channel, Fifth Down Huddle. It's all out there. Help us out. It would be greatly appreciated. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe, wash your hands, don't go out to eat, and have a nice day. I will see you next time. Thank you.